All right, we're going to call this meeting to order, the Franklin School Board. The meeting called to order at 6:08. For the sake of transparency and for the public on viewing, the Franklin School Board did hold a non-public session within the SAU conference room at 5:31 this evening. We could all stand for the salute of the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colleen, was the meeting posted as is required? Thank you. Okay, just so everybody knows, if anyone has to use the bathroom tonight, we would ask that you go to my right, out the exit, all the way down the end of the hallway, bear to your left, and there's restrooms down there. The lower wing, the first floor wing at the high school is closed due to the waxing that was just done on the floor, so they would prefer us not be walking on those floors. So if anybody needs to use the bathroom tonight, go up to my right and straight up. All right, agenda item 4 is our public participation. During public participation, anybody who wishes to address the school board may do so. I ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, and I give no more than 30 minutes of public participation. If we're unable to complete the public participation in the first round of 30 minutes, I do hold agenda item number 14, a second public participation. I ask that when addressing the school board, you please state your full name and what ward you represent. Is there anybody here tonight that would like to speak to the school board? Go ahead, sir.
All right, can I stand up?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hi, my name is Luke Miller. I am the outpost pastor for One Church here in Franklin. One Church, we are centrally located in Bedford, New Hampshire, but we have different locations across New Hampshire and Vermont, and we started this Franklin location about last Easter, so April 2022. We've been here for about a year and some change. And at One Church, our main core practice is to pray for one. Just pray that God, please give us one person to share your love with. And with doing that, you pray for you connect to God, connect to people, and connect to mission. And through connecting to the mission of God, we've been blessed to be partnering with this community through different events that have been held here. So far, we've been a part of community days. We've done the Easter egg hunt, National Night Out. We, for the past 2 years, have been able to donate school supplies to the teachers within the school district as well. And we are also that church that hands out Chick-fil-A sandwiches during the Class Day parade. So what I love about Franklin is it is a community that shows up. So when I call up Chick-fil-A and ask for 400 Chick-fil-A sandwiches, they say, will you be able to get rid of it? And I say, yes, it took us 45 minutes this year. And next year I'm hoping to beat it as well. So I share all these things not for looking for any sort of special treatment in that way, but I hope that it showcases our commitment to being here and to investing in this community. The place where we currently meet, the Baptist Church of Franklin, we've been meeting there first at 6 o'clock and then at 1 o'clock. Because of the timeline and the life of that church, we are no longer able to meet there on Sundays. And we would love the opportunity to move to morning services. So what I'm asking and presenting is that One Church is able to rent out a space either here in the high school or over in the middle school to hold our worship services on Sunday mornings. And when I present this, know it is a true partnership. It is something that we are looking to invest into the school district and to help grow it as well. So it's not just going to be that we just come in and take, but also it's an open conversation with what the school needs and looking for opportunities to invest in any way that we can. So that's why I'm here tonight, to present it to the school board, and thank you so much for hearing me out.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else who wishes to address the public, or from the public wishes to address the school board? Please, go ahead.
I was going to listen to what you had to say tonight. Will I still be able to
You just
address?
stand and state your name, please.
Okay, the name is Al Warner, Ward 3. I just wondered if perhaps if I declined to do so now, since you didn't run out of time, will you still have item 14 available?
Yes, I will. I always have the last item of the night. I always have a second public participation, and
just didn't want to lose my opportunity.
No, you will not lose that opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is there any other public participation? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting. Agenda item 5 is recognitions. Is there any recognitions to be brought before the board this evening?
I'd like to recognize Jay Lewis, our new Paul Smith principal, who's off to a fantastic start.
Welcome, Jay. Jack, did you have a recognition?
Yeah, I want to recognize the staff and administration in facing the difficulties of trying to hire in the current situation and climate that we're in the state of New Hampshire. So I think that you're exploring any and all options and doing whatever we can for the best for our kids.
I'd like to add to that. I'd like to add to the students that are also facing this because they are the most impacted by this.
Thank you, Christine. Any other recognitions? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting. Agenda item 6 is our Franklin High School Student Representative Report. We have Cadence Laro with us this evening, so we'll turn it over to you, Cadence.
Wasn't much to write a report on due to starting up, but we did start our week of painting the senior parking spots. I know today I was out there hoping to get some more people out there this week. You had to pay an additional $10 to paint your parking spot, and you did have to get it approved by Mr. Levesque or Mr. Quinn. So we have that going throughout the whole entire week.
Any questions for Cadence? We're starting it, we'll start to see how that, if you have any questions about what's going on, Cadence can help you. All right, close that, thank you, Cadence. Agenda item 7 is approval of prior board minutes. We tabled on June 16th, we tabled the May 15th, 2023 minutes. I need a motion to take them off the table if this board so desires.
I'd make a motion to take the minutes of May 15th, 2023 off the table.
Motion's been made to take the minutes of May 15th off the table. Do I have a second? Second by Liz. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The minutes from May 15th are off the table.
I abstained.
Abstained
because
by
I was
Maureen.
not at the June meeting.
Okay. Christine is too. You have that, Colleen? Okay. So now the May 15th minutes are off the table and now back on. If anybody would like to make a motion to approve those minutes. So moved by Jack. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Deb. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion.
Busy man.
Seeing no discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes of May 15th, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Abstention by Christine and Maureen. Minutes pass. We had a non-public on May 15th, 2023. I need a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept June 19th, 2023 minutes as presented.
Nope, we're at May 15th, we had a non-public.
Oh, I'm sorry.
According to the agenda. According to my agenda, I do.
No, we did not. That's why. There's no June meeting
hold on.
minutes
Yeah,
in this packet.
Yeah, we just put them on the next, there was no discussion on it, so put the non-public from May 15th on the next school board agenda, please. Okay, we need approval of the June 16th, 2023 board minutes.
It says 16th on the agenda.
Killing me.
I'm fired.
So let's start this again.
I make a motion to approve the June 19th.
June 19th minutes. Okay, so Deb's made a motion to accept the June 19th, 2023 school board minutes. Do I have a second? Casey? If there's no second, we're not gonna.
Second.
Okay, second by Jack is the discussion. This
There's
is,
2 minutes?
this is for the school board meeting we had in June. That's the board minutes.
Not the non-public.
Not the non-public. I'm gonna get to that
Thank you.
one. Yep.
Thank you.
So remember, this is just for the board meeting that we had. All right, so all in favor of accepting the board minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Delaney, Jack, and Maureen abstain. The minutes still pass.
May I submit with corrections?
You may submit with corrections. You can go ahead and give those to Colleen. Now we're gonna do the minutes, the non-public of June 19th. This is non-public. So we have two of them. We'll act on the first one, which is the non-public on June 19th we had at 5:30. I will take a motion on that.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of, the non-public minutes of June 19th, 5:30, as amended and to be made public. Are those the ones?
Okay.
You got it.
So, motion's been made to accept, to make public the June 19th, non-public with corrections that have already been submitted. Do I have a second? Second by Liz. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Abstention by Maureen, Jack, and Delaney. The minutes pass. And the non-public of June 19th at 5:31 will be made public. We also had a non-public on June 19th at 7 PM. I'll take a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of June 19th, 7 PM, and to continue to be sealed indefinitely.
Motion's been made to accept the June 19th non-public minutes as was presented, and that they be kept sealed indefinitely. Do I have a second? Second by Liz. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Opposed by Christine. Abstentions?
Abstain.
Maureen, Jack, and Delaney abstain. The motion passes. Okay, that takes care of our minutes. We'll move on to agenda item 8. It's our financial report, and I'll turn it over to Jefferson.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I throw a lot of numbers at you, so I want to make sure you memorize them all. So I've uploaded the financial reports to the board packet folder tonight. If you had an opportunity to review those, is primarily focused on the past fiscal year. I'm working on final reconciliations and wrapping up those financial statements for the year. I expect to have the DOE 25 and MS 25 available for the board members to sign at the September 8th board meeting, 18th board meeting, excuse me. Right now, we are projected at a fund balance of $1,044,032. This is $150,075 above what I was projecting for the budget for the support of the FY24 fiscal year. I don't expect it to fluctuate a lot with my final reconciliations that I plan to have done by that board meeting. We have also received our final adequacy number. Now that the legislature had passed their budget and the Department of Education was able to look at our final ADM counts, end of year numbers, and plug it into the new formula, we are expected to receive an additional $201,809 in adequacy aid for the FY24 fiscal year. These two particular items, the additional adequacy aid and the additional fund balance, we will need to bring forward after we maybe discuss it at the board meeting next, with the board to approve additional funding for our budget, to bring it to the city council. Then we'll have to submit a council agenda report and resolution to have the city council approve us to appropriate it in our budget for this current fiscal year. All this stuff will be submitted in plenty of time for tax rate setting, so don't have to worry about that at all, in case anybody wonders. Moving on to the food service program, just wanted to give an update on that. The food service program ran a $41,217 deficit for the past year, which is pretty typical in a standard year. We started the year, though, with a $175,117 fund balance, so that just reduces that amount to about $134,000 that will be carried over into the current fiscal year. One thing I wanted to bring up for discussion, and whether or not the board wants to make a decision about this, is a consideration of increasing our paid lunch price on meals here in Franklin. I know it's a tough subject to bring up. Our current price right now is $3, and it has been that price since October of 2018. So we're going on 5 years now. Obviously, we know with inflation and everything else, things have gone up quite a bit. We are not required to raise our prices at this point because we do still have a positive fund balance. However, the U.S. Department of Agriculture will send out a called Paid Lunch Equity Tool to all the districts throughout the country to calculate whether they need to raise prices. We don't, obviously, because of our current status. And this also was suspended during COVID when the meals were 100% reimbursed, where we didn't have to actually use this particular tool. Prior to COVID, we were typically running a fund balance in the negative, and we'd always support the food service program with the general fund, which has been going on for several years. Because of COVID and the 100% meals reimbursement, we had a significant increase in participation by all the students, and obviously all the meals were reimbursed by the federal government, so we were recognizing a lot more revenue during those 2 years, which allowed us to end up with a fund balance like that. However, since we are kind of back to normal operations, I do expect that fund balance to dwindle over the next probably 2 years, and then at that point we would definitely have to consider start raising lunch meal prices based on the requirement by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Things that they look at is where our price is and what we get reimbursed from the federal government, and they typically would like that to be on parity. Right now, the reimbursement rate, we do get reimbursed for every level of meals. Paid meals, we get 77 cents. Reduced meals, we get an additional 40 cents. And then on top of the 77 cents, and then fully free, we get 77 cents and $3.56 per meal. So we're talking about a total of $4.33 that we get reimbursed. I wanted to bring forward the possibility of raising our prices to $3.25 per lunch meal, just on the lunch prices only. We're not looking to increase breakfast or anything like that because there's no requirement for that. Yes, it's here. If we start running a deficit though, and we've run out of our fund balance, then we actually will be required by federal regulations to start increasing our prices again. But we don't have to get it all the way up to parity right away. They're just incremental pieces that they require at that point. So I just wanted to bring that forward to discussion, if anybody would like to ask some questions about that.
Ask a question, but
Sure.
I do want to, you just said that during the pandemic, we saw a significance in students receiving lunch.
Correct.
Because lunch was free. And yes, we are out of the pandemic now, and yes, we are back to somewhat normalcy, as of right now. But their inflation has gone up substantially. People are having a very hard time making ends meet.
Absolutely, I understand that completely.
And so therefore I can't, as of right now, I think that we should wait to see what happens as far as our fund balance goes, because, it just, I don't think that it will help families in our community especially. We're already, this community already suffers enough, and I don't think that, the people in our community will be they won't be able to do that.
I don't disagree with you
that
There's
100%.
8 states now that have done that in the country, so.
And I know that New Hampshire tried to do that. I
Yeah.
know that we did. But because of our community, I just can't see that going through very well. I think there'll be a lot of pushback from the
Just give you
community.
a heads up, fund balance will get wiped out eventually here in
I know.
probably the next 2 years. We no longer now have Compass. So Compass is in another district, so we won't be running into revenue. I don't know exactly what our costs were associated with Compass, so I can't say if we've made or lost money specifically related to the charter school. But we had about $33,651 of revenue on the federal reimbursement side for meals that were served to Compass. I can't put a dollar amount on the exact cost because I can't break that out as far as what it cost us to get that much revenue. So I don't know how much that'll affect, how much fund balance depletion we'll experience over the next couple of years. But once that fund balance is gone, we are forced to raise prices, or we pay for those meals, the discrepancy in the price that will require by that formula and the paid lunch equity tool out of the general fund for those number of meals that we serve.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can we readdress this, say in like 6 months after schools come? Like, because we haven't even started school this year. We don't know what it's going to look like, how free lunch is going to look. We haven't gotten all the applications in yet from Brenda. I mean, she hasn't gotten answers yet. from
We
the
can,
state.
we can look at this anytime we want as a board.
Right.
Okay, we can, all you gotta do is reach out to the superintendent and say, could you put this as a board agenda item? We as a board can look at this anytime. I don't think we're in a need situation right now, because as Jefferson said, we have 2 years probably, we'll be safe with this. I personally would never right now, under 100%, will not vote for any kind of raise for school lunch programs, okay? I've testified, I've written testimony, I have signed in for testimony on both a state and a federal level on the school lunch. I've done 2 years, I've been arguing Washington DC and our representatives down there, and nothing's being done, okay? So I, under no circumstances will I vote for, ever, I can tell you, for a raise unless we're mandated by federal law, which we could get to that point in 2 years. But for right now, I won't do it.
So, I'm thinking that we get, every month we get like how our budget is with the lunch. And I think we should just continually keep track of that.
I think this is more of an informational Jefferson saying. And then-
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, you don't have to make a decision now, it's just
Right.
putting it out there
Information.
to be aware of this potential situation down the road. So
Okay.
we don't have to do anything at this
No.
point, it's not a requirement in any way.
Jefferson, can I ask?
Yeah.
So if we are forced down the road to raise, what level of force do you mean?
Typically, it's gonna be like 10 cents. I mean,
So
yeah.
force doesn't mean they're gonna add a buck to the.
Yeah, they don't expect you
Okay.
to correct the situation, because they always look at what the federal government reimburses you at, which is right now $3.56. And if you're below that, then that's when this paid lunch equity tool comes into play. And it could be a situation where you'll never get to it, because that increases every single year.
I
'Cause
just wanted
obviously
the
they do it
board
off
to know,
of
we're
their-
not talking about a catastrophic,
Yeah.
they're gonna make us raise it $1 on everybody.
Right.
If they force
They
us.
say, you should be at, say, $3.40, but since you're only at 3, you only have to go to $3.10.
Okay.
Because that's the maximum requirement at that time.
Desiree?
Can you just give me some information, what we did prior to COVID, like, what was like the incremental increase? Did it increase?
Our
I mean,
prices,
it was only $3, so I mean, it can't.
it hasn't changed.
Since
Since
2018.
Since
Right.
October 2018, so I don't know what the prices were prior to that, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just didn't know what our normal formula would be, if we had a formula, if you had any idea?
Well, we don't have the formula, it's the U.S. Department of Agriculture that has the formula, and they're the ones that dictate where we'd have to increase it, and it's up to us how much we want to increase it, because we can increase it as much as we want or not increase it at all. But if we're always running in the negative, then you are required to do an incremental increase.
Right, I just thought COVID was extenuating circumstances, so I was just wondering what we did prior to COVID, since it is $3,
Yeah.
that's not.
So I can help a little bit, Des, I think. So prior to COVID, we would run a deficit. every year, yes, and the general fund would have to make up that deficit. My recollection back in 2018 is we raised lunch prices by a quarter. That was five years ago, I think. But we always would run a deficit. The only reason we ran a surplus is because of COVID and the fact that everybody was getting the federal reimbursed piece.
So I feel like some historical data would probably be helpful in any sort of analytical discussion. It's like if we were to have to look at what we did prior to COVID, because COVID was just abnormal. Although I would probably wouldn't prefer that.
I mean, it wouldn't make a difference with USDA, how, what we do though. And what we have to calculate, so, yeah.
Deb?
With the, with inflation, has the, income qualifications changed? Have they gone up significantly to allow more people to be qualified? Or have they gone
It's
down?
actually made it worse.
It's made it worse.
We made less people that have been qualified than we've had in previous years. For example, in 1920, right before COVID, we had about 620.
2020, I wasn't here in 1919.
No, the 1920.
Oh, okay, school year.
2019, 2020. Okay.
I don't think any of us were.
It was, I think we had 624 ADM, they call it, average daily membership, and we were at 520 this year. So it's a significant drop. Doesn't mean that, based on the federal guidelines for income, the income schedule probably didn't increase enough that people were able to qualify more, but it also doesn't necessarily reflect that even though over the past few years, people's costs have gone up significantly too, and their incomes might have gone up a little bit to help offset it, but not nearly enough to put them in a much better financial situation, but enough to kick them off their eligibility from the income guidelines, which the problem with that is it's a national income guideline.
Right.
So it's not geared towards cost of living in certain sections of the country, which personally I find a frustrating situation because in the Northeast it's very expensive to live. We have the 10th most expensive state is for housing. So, but say somewhere in southern United States, where your income levels are typically maybe lower, but cost of living is also significantly lower, your eligibility is probably greater to that effect too, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maureen?
And I think there's another issue that, at least my experience when I was here as an educator, that this is back in the early 21st century, so we just put it that way. That there wasn't a problem getting the paperwork in for like the elementary and middle school. We found that it was discussed that many of the high school students weren't turning in the paperwork. And that is sort of like one of the things, we weren't necessarily getting a true picture of who really needed the free and reduced lunches, particularly at the high school level. So, and I think that's something that we all need to keep in mind, is because of the amount of information or the willingness for our high school students to bring home that paperwork, because there again, it's sort of like in your face, we need help, and it's, hey, we're here, we want to make sure you have what you need. You know, it's not just books, it's the food that feeds the brain.
Unfortunately, they do email out this information to parents now. It's not just sent home like it used to be. So like I've received this information in my personal email, so I could send the information to Brenda if I want to or if I need to, which is really great.
Right.
But still, the students are really, they do push back a lot.
They're more hesitant. You
Yeah.
can't, and you cannot blame them.
It's the age,
The age, definitely.
Jack?
I want to make a motion to maintain the current lunch price and visit this in July of 2024.
Motion's been made to table this until May of 2024, second by Maureen. Any further?
Maintain the current.
Maintain the current price, thank you, Jack. Seconded by Maureen. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and our lunch program will remain at $3, and we'll revisit it in 2024.
I do also want to add that Brenda Patel is incredible with reaching out to families and making sure that they have the documentation or paperwork, and even helps them complete the applications if they need any help, so she's very, very.
Can we just say August, because we don't meet in July?
Oh, I thought it was.
He said May.
You said May.
Yeah, you did say May.
No, he said
He did say
July.
May.
I think Tim said May.
Oh, did you say May?
I thought Jack said.
Jack said
Jack
July.
said May.
We're going with May. Jack, you're
I
good
like
with
May
May?
better than July.
Because that will give you
Can I
time
prefer
to.
August, just to keep it
Okay.
a year from now?
We'll say
I
August.
apologize.
August of 24.
August is great.
So that's all I have for this evening. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Yeah, or the other questions there.
Go ahead, Jack.
Did we file for extension on the ESSER spending?
We did not, because the ESSER two funding spending was related to construction projects specifically. But I'm not seeing us having an issue with spending the money that we have already, because I have it fully budgeted right now. And I've been moving money around for making sure that we get it spent down by the end of next month.
Any
ESSER
other,
three might be a different question, but hopefully they'll allow us to do some extensions on that if needed.
Working on it.
any questions for Jefferson? Ginny, is that a hand up for a question? I'm like, I don't want to exclude you.
No, sorry.
All right.
I was trying to make sure I had the right figures to email to you.
We'll go to our next item. Agenda item 9 is our committee report, so we'll start with Deb.
We had our finance committee meeting on the 23rd, last week, and we went over the normal reconciliations and treasurer's reports and fund balance and all the information that Jefferson's given you tonight. We also I had asked to have student activity reports on, which they weren't able to complete those yet, so those will come back in September. And our next meeting is on September, find my date, the 13th at 5:30, if anybody would like to come and visit us.
Any questions for Deb? All right, we'll go on to Delaney for his
Nope,
committee.
I still have one more committee. Negotiations.
Oh, yeah, okay, good.
I have negotiations, and we're in the process, which we'll be meeting Wednesday this week for our next session.
So negotiations, all right, Delaney.
We had our I2 meeting also on August 23rd. Discussed the strategic plan process, and there will be a community input session on September 16th. There will also be a teacher input session in late September and a student input session some other time in September. Then the administrative team will put together a draft plan and bring it to the board for review, and then we will decide from there whether we would like to have a work session day for reviewing the plan and making our updates. We also discussed school improvement plans for the elementary and high schools. And our next meeting is September 11th at 5 o'clock, the SAU offices.
Any questions for me or Delaney?
I have a question. Do you have a date for the student input session?
I do not have a date.
Okay.
I'm sorry, September 14th,
11th.
11th?
All right,
Got a strategic
in our committee, we have a legislative committee. That person has always been Deb as our delegate, and she represents the Franklin School Board at the delegate assembly through the New Hampshire School Board Association, that we've done for many years. I have normally been the alternate in case Deb was sick or couldn't make it or whatever. I could go down and represent the Franklin School Board.
Unfortunately, as the first VP on the New Hampshire School Board Association, our bylaws do not allow me to sit as a delegate or a alternate. Okay, so we need to make a motion to pick an alternate. It's not saying you have to go to the delegate assembly. Everybody's welcome to it. It's October 14th is the delegate assembly down at the Grapponi Center. Any school board member can go to it. You can listen, but only the representatives of school boards, such as Deb does as our delegate for the Franklin School Board, has the authority to vote. Okay, but because of my position down there, I have to withdraw myself from that by our bylaws, so I'm looking for someone who would be willing to volunteer or a motion for someone to become the alternate, because Dan has to submit those those names to the New Hampshire School Board Association. So first of all, we're gonna make a motion, I'm gonna make a motion to continue having Deb Brown be our delegate at the delegate assembly for the New Hampshire School Board Association. I have a second on that. Second by Jack. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention by Deb. In case you guys are wondering, I already asked Deb if she would do it. She said she would. In case that question was all of a sudden in everybody's
Well, it
mind.
was already on the committee.
Yeah, I know.
So I figured it was already.
So now I just need a motion to have an alternate.
We need a volunteer.
If someone's willing to do it, then we'll, nomination from the floor.
I nominate Lori Cass.
Lori Cass. Lori, do you accept the nomination as an alternate? Okay, do I have a second on Lori?
A second.
Second by Christine. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes, one abstention by Lori. The ayes have it. Lori be the alternate.
And it would be good for you to sign up and go for the October one, just so that you can see
Do
the
you
process.
get you get the messages from NHSBA? Okay, so just go ahead and
Just
sign up
log in
for it.
and sign.
Yeah. The Board of Directors and the Executive Committee for the New Hampshire School Board Association have approved the resolutions that have come forward to the board. The Board of Directors made their recommendation and approval. Those should be coming to the superintendent within probably the next week or two. So we should have them on our September agenda for this board to look at and read over and make any recommendations to Deb on whether you support those resolutions or not support them, or whether you want to add stuff to it. That's, Deb is your voice down there. Okay, so those should be in the next board agenda. All right? We have one other. Carissa, do you have anything for Portrait of a Graduate you want to add?
I think you already know we got another $150,000 from the Art Foundation. And so they're not, I think late July, and it's been funded, right, Jefferson?
Yes.
Yes, all the things have been signed. Dan has some other things to talk about Art Foundation, and some approvals we need. But it looks good. We've got critical skills coming in on Wednesday to work with teachers as part of that grant, and they'll be working with them throughout the year, and providing some coaching to the leadership team around instruction.
Any questions for Carissa? All right, we'll move on. Is there any other committee reports? Desiree?
I have a question. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I didn't bring it up earlier when we were doing minutes, but I just read it now and realized. Do we have minutes for the joint school board city council meeting, or do they do them, or do we each do our own? How does that work?
It was asked by the city, so it'd be the city's responsibility to provide those minutes.
That was something I meant to ask you.
Jack?
Safety Committee. Will
Go ahead,
be
Jack.
On Thursday, September 14th at 5:30 to discuss student safety data, district DOP, and updates on progress of Homeland Security suggestions.
Wednesday, September
14th, yes, 5:30.
That's a Thursday.
September.
Thursday, September 14th.
Any other committee reports?
Is that right?
Christie, we do need a policy.
Okay.
So maybe we can connect before you go tonight, to schedule a policy meeting, a couple things.
All right. We'll move on to agenda item 10. Agenda item 10 is on new business, and I will turn that over to the superintendent.
Okay, in your board drive were the updated student handbooks from our principals. Our principals are here tonight as well. They had submitted to you the changes they were making, the deletions and the additions. Now is a good time for you to ask any questions that you have regarding the student handbooks at the 3 schools before I ask you to approve them for 23-24 school year. Liz?
Hello, principals. Thank you for your hard work. The handbooks look excellent. There were just a couple in the Paul Smith student and even fewer in the middle school handbook, just some short grammatical things that I'd like to email you, if that's okay. Not really relevant, okay. And then the only thing that, I mean, it's relevant, but the only thing that I did want to bring up, there was a little bit of redundancy from what I could read about in the Paul Smith student handbook regarding delays, cancellations, inclement weather. It's dealt with in 2 sections. In the other schools' handbooks, they're combined into one.
It's supposed to come out.
What's that?
It is supposed to come out.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't strike it through.
Oh, okay, perfect, okay. Because I was like, yeah, if we can consolidate it, but if one's going to be deleted, that'll be fine. Okay. But yeah, otherwise it's like really just like quotes. I couldn't help myself, so I'll just email the irrelevant things.
I read all of them, I want you to know. And I thought that they were very comprehensive, and I certainly like the part about your including the policies and having the appendix where the policies were, and even the sites to go on. And and that was perfect for me. I could handle that as a parent and also as a faculty member. So I don't know if we've gotten to the faculty
That'll be
ones to
next.
approve.
We'll do that one.
Okay, we'll do that next, but no, I felt that your handbooks were very user-friendly for parents and students.
Is there any other discussion or any other questions? Go ahead.
It's just, it's a question, it isn't necessarily, it's in the handbook, but not necessarily related. Is the robotics club in the Franklin Middle School not gonna be available this coming year? Or, I didn't see it on the club list.
That's a really good question. Did we have one last year?
Yeah, we did, right? So we probably do. It must not have been in the handbook last year, because I think that we went through what was there and we kept asking people to look at stuff, but you know how it is, but I will add it in there right now, as a matter of fact.
There's Mr. Perkins.
Yeah,
We have no plans not to have.
yeah, I mean, we didn't take
Yeah.
anything out that, yeah, so I will put it in right now.
Good catch.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Any other questions for any of the staff? All right, so what we need on this is a motion by someone from the board to accept the student handbooks. Go ahead, Maureen.
I make a motion that we accept the student handbooks from Paul Smith, the Franklin Middle School, and the Franklin High School.
Do we have a second on that? Second by Liz. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion is passed.
Okay, thank you. Next up are the 3 faculty handbooks. We'd like to bring these to you as well, so you know what our updates are and what we're putting in place for our personnel. So the 3 principals worked pretty hard on this together with the district, and they were in your board drive as well for review, so looking for feedback and approval on the faculty handbooks.
Well, I will repeat what I said. I read them, and I read them through as if I were a faculty member. And I kind of wish I had that faculty handbook back from 1992 to 2008, because it's definitely informative and user-friendly, and with all the information I could possibly want at my fingertips, including on the internet.
Any other questions for the administrators on the faculty? I haven't got a motion yet.
I thought she, yeah, she made the motion.
No, she just.
She hasn't made anything.
Oh, I'm sorry, all right.
I discussed.
Then I will just make, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I think they're great, all three of them, but is there a way that we can combine the three of them? Because the staff are the same in all the buildings. They may have some little sections that might be separate for each school to kind of condense some of this, because, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's good handbooks.
So that's something we can look at for next
I think-
summer, Deb?
Yeah, or even, it may take longer than that, but I just think that it would, I mean, we are one district, so our staff falls under a handbook, and it might streamline by having just like a small section for each school if there are that many differences. Just my comment.
Yep, something we can take a look at.
So now I'll take a motion on to approve the faculty handbook.
So moved.
So moved by Deb. Do I have a second? Second by Maureen. Is there any further discussion?
We have a policy that we have to, adopt or accept staff handbooks?
No, we just have tradition.
Just,
Tradition.
okay, understand, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Transparency with the board.
See no other discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our principals and assistant principals who worked very hard on that. Okay, I have the following resignations from last June 19th, moving forward. So I need the board to accept the resignations of Jen Campbell, Franklin Middle School Guidance Counselor, Melissa Fraley, Franklin High School Guidance Counselor, Lynn Anderson, Franklin High School Guidance Counselor, Joyce Burney, Franklin Middle School Special Education Teacher, Krista Blondin, Franklin Middle School Special Education Teacher, Joanne Coombs, Franklin High School Special Education Teacher, Jen Daniels, Franklin High School Math Teacher, Beth Harrington, Franklin Middle School Teacher, Darlene Martino, Franklin Middle School Teacher, Haley Gentile, Franklin Middle School Teacher, Gary Hansen, Franklin Middle School Teacher, Sarah Paltrinari, Paul Smith School Teacher, and Melissa Gross, Paul Smith School Title I Teacher.
So we need a motion to accept them, we don't have to repeat all of them. So moved by Deb, by Maureen, that's all we need. Do I have a second? Second by Jack. These resignations are accepted with regret by the board. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
One abstention. The ayes have it, the motion is approved.
Okay, I'd like to nominate the following professional staff members. Patricia DeGraff, Franklin Middle School Grade 4 teacher. Sean Grover, Franklin High School Social Studies teacher. Wendy Hamill, Franklin High School Director of Guidance. Cheryl Dorr Chapman, Franklin High School Guidance Counselor. James O'Donnell, Franklin High School Computer Science teacher. Susan Hallett Cook, Franklin Middle School Science teacher. And Dave Pabst, Health teacher. Susan Hallett Cook and Dave Pabst, part-time.
I make a motion to accept the nominations as read by Superintendent McDowell.
Motion been made to accept the nominations by Liz. Do I have a second? Second by Christine. Do I have any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion is accepted.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to tell you that we have filled all our coaching positions, both at the middle school and the high school, thanks to Danny Sylvester, our athletic director. So I'm going to nominate first the middle school coaches. So we have Nicole Havey, field hockey coach, Jade Gizzy, volleyball coach, Riley Lemieux, head football coach, Adam Heath, assistant football coach, Jason Reed, soccer coach, and Ashley Forge, spirit coach.
We need a motion on those to accept those coaches. So moved by Jack. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Deb. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and passes.
And then at the high school, I nominate the following coaches: Reagan Yarborough, varsity volleyball; Maddie Trefethan, JV volleyball, assistant varsity coach; Melissa Lewis, varsity field hockey coach; Crystal Slocum, varsity assistant coach; Jamie O'Connell Laquadera, varsity spirit coach; Tim Snow, head varsity football coach; Jamie Roy, assistant varsity football coach; George Tarwo, assistant varsity football coach; Charlie Chappell, JV varsity soccer coach; and Matt Bluen, assistant JV varsity soccer coach.
We need a motion to accept those coaches. Motion's been made by Christie to accept the coaches as presented.
Second.
Second by Jack. Any discussion?
What was the name of the assistant varsity coach? Oh, yeah, okay.
Matt Bluen, yeah.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention, motion passes.
Thank you very much. All right, personnel update. So, as we stand, with the opening school on Tuesday, we are still short about 13 and a half professional staff members in the buildings. I will give you a list of those positions, and I gave it to you in my report. So the Title I teacher at the elementary school, that is open. I have some thoughts about what to do with that position in terms of moving forward. We also are short at the elementary school a special education teacher, one special education teacher. At the middle school, as you just nominated, we had a 2/5 health teacher that we added today, so we're still short 3/5 health there, although we are looking to cover that with our physical education classes. We are still short a guidance counselor. We are still short 1.5 to 2 special education teachers, and we are still short 4 classroom teachers. As I said, if we had to open school tomorrow, we can open school tomorrow. We would just have larger class sizes than what we would have wanted. Our class sizes would be capped off or maxed out at this point based on enrollment at 24, which is legal, not what we were shooting for, but still acceptable. At the high school, this has been well documented that we're short 2 math teachers and 2 science teachers. So we have had a parent meeting regarding this. We are doing lots, and kudos to Dave Levesque for all of his work, trying to work with not only Lakes Region Community College, but also with Winnisquam, trying to fill the gaps here with the math and science program. We are also short 1 special education teacher. So we are continuing to come up with options for, especially at the high school, because at the high school, we have courses that we can't run because of the lack of math and science teachers. We only have 1 math teacher and 1 full-time math teacher and 1 full-time science teacher at the high school. When you lose 2 math teachers and you only have 3, that's what you're left with, because we're a small high school at this point. We have had seniors and juniors coming in at this point, talking to our counselors about options. And Dave, I don't know if you have a quick update of how that's going, but.
So, on Friday, we opened up for scheduling for juniors and seniors. We had 35 certified students who showed up to sign up for courses. We have office hours not only during the school day, but in the evening next week is to sign up. So hopefully we'll get as many kids set for club courses. We currently have between NHTI and Lakes Region Community College 9 students who have enrolled in courses over there. 17 different courses between the 2 schools. I do not have the eStart courses that are signed up. I only can look at LRCC. I don't know, Julie, you don't get eStart, do you?
No, I keep getting emails, but I don't have an account.
Yeah, so I've been trying to get access to that for eStarts. Winnisquam Regional High School has 10 courses that are available to our students. So we're offering those as well. Basically, if we want to have a student get into a course, we just gotta fill out an Excel spreadsheet, we'll put the student in the course. Some days, they go, similar to our schedule last year, white, blue is what they do there. So on the white day, which is our project block day, those courses fit better into the schedule. So we have students that would be able to take courses over there if they choose to do so. So that's the update.
We also have an interview scheduled in special education tomorrow with a potential case manager for the middle school. And there's also potentially a math candidate at the high school that we're talking to this week. So what I want everybody to know is that this is not a static situation, it's a dynamic situation that we will continue even when school starts, trying to recruit and bring people in. Our high school schedule specifically is flexible enough that we can make changes on the fly when we are able to find people because of some of the 9-week classes that we're running at the high school with the project blocks this year. So we are flexible enough at the high school to be able to take advantage, hopefully, of trying to bring people in after the school year starts. I want you also to know that the Winnisquam Franklin Switch program is alive and well. Winnisquam is anxious to send kids here just as much as we are anxious to send kids there for some of the classes that we're missing in math and science. They're short in areas as well and looking to send kids here. So one of the things we're going to be talking about later on in this meeting is a van, a 12-passenger van that we could use to cart kids back and forth between the Winnisquam and Franklin High School, and also if we needed to between Franklin and Lakes Region Community College. So that's coming up on a late item as well. So that is the personnel update. Paraprofessionals, by the way, we're looking really solid. Rebecca's not here tonight, she's on vacation, but she's pretty much fully staffed with paras and still trying to find some to help with some of this special ed case manager shortage. A couple extra pairs would help us cover some of that, so. That's the personnel update.
You make any questions for Dan before we move on personnel, because that was a lot of information. Make any questions for Dan? Go ahead, Jack.
How easy would it be to transition if we were able to find somebody to fill some of these roles? If you've already started a program with either Winnisquam or LRCC, could we transition them back into our in-person instruction here at the school?
We could. We could easily do that. That's something that is in the best interest at that point. A lot of our classes can run 9 weeks or run a semester because of the way our schedule works this year, the new schedule. So for instance, we're trying to work with potentially Lakes Region, if we don't find our own teacher, to run a chemistry class here from January to the end of school year. And if we can find a teacher to do that, we'll have the teacher do it. If not, we're trying to get a Lakes Region professor to come here and do it. And if they can't come here to do it, then we'd be looking to bring the students there to do it on their campus. So we are able, because we align now more so Tuesdays and Thursdays, we align more with the college schedule. So we have the flexibility there. And then on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we're more traditional with the 4-block schedule. So we bought ourselves a lot of flexibility. And because our juniors and seniors, we've redesigned the high school as well for this new approach. We're not stuck to just having school between 8:30 and 3:15. We have people that are taking afternoon and evening classes as well, whether it's Lakes Region. Some people are taking some of the adult ed stuff. So the idea of school just being a school day thing, that's one of the things we're moving away from anyways. It just so happens that we have a shortage the first year we're trying to do it. So it's actually well timed in terms of what we're trying to do here. I think we've been a lot more nimble, I think, than some of the other schools around the state. So fortunate that we've been doing the POG work for the last 3.5 to 4 years, that we're in this position in terms of being flexible.
How does the state view, obviously they're certified to teach something, but we have to have state certified staff. Are they flexible enough for we have teachers from LRCC educate our kids, will it still be good
would be acceptable in the eyes of the state for them to be able to
Yeah.
receive that credit.
Because of dual enrollment, yeah, we can do any kind of dual enrollment with any community college in the state with the dual enrollment piece. So kids are all able to earn high school and college credit at the same time in any community college.
And it's the same with Winnisquam, Jack, because of the law of learn anywhere. When they go to Winnisquam and take courses over there, they get credits for that into here because of the law for learn anywhere.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because it has to be certified staff at the state of New Hampshire, so I just,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, the community colleges are all accepted with that dual enrollment approval, so. Kristen, you up?
This is more a question for the students, if they have any questions about LRCC or enrolling in the college courses. How do the credits work as far as, are they earning college credits? Are they earning high school credits?
Earning both at the same
Right.
time.
And I knew that, but I just needed you to clarify that.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, is you can earn both, you know. And it's quite likely that some of them can get out of a whole semester of college. We had a parent talk about that at our parent meeting.
And most of those credits
Save a lot of
transfer
money.
just about, because when the parent spoke at parent night, I mean, those credits transferred to Emerson. You're not talking about just PSU or Keene. They transferred Riley had a whole semester and a half paid for out of a $77,000 a year tuition. Yeah.
So she talked about that, which was great, so it is actually an opportunity, and this is the direction we were moving in terms of the redesign. We've just been forced this way, you know, a lot quicker than we would have wanted to move, but, I mean, this is kind of the direction we were moving in terms of getting our juniors and seniors out and taking advantage of some of these opportunities, so.
And I don't know if, everyone heard, but with some of the classes they're not just LRCC. These classes are from NHTI as well. That's New Hampshire Technical Institute, which is a really great school in our state. And I think that that's something that our kids really should take advantage of.
The other thing is they're not all online, it's not just online, but there's mechanisms for us to get them over to the college, or for them to bring themselves to the college as well if they have their license, so, you know, I wanna make sure it's out there, that this isn't just all about just online learning. Dave, go ahead, Dave.
Just as another side note, fortunate that LRCC Joe Smith is coming back. He's teaching 2 classes here at the high school. So bringing back machine tool math, and bringing back blueprint reading, right? Blueprint reading. So those are Tuesdays and Thursdays. It aligns with LRCC, so he's in the building. We're trying to get 6 to 8 kids like that. Just another interesting conversation I had last week is working with the high school youth apprentice and business outreach community. So they are looking to do some sort of an apprentice program here at the high school where they can take a class here at the school for 9 weeks, and then the second, they'd put in 60 to 80 hours, making $16 to $18, $20 an hour, working out in the community and earning high school credit for that. So there's some little things that we've found out along the process and learning about this. So there's a lot of excitement at LRCC in the apprentice program, and Nashua, as soon as they saw the MUR, they reached out to us as well. They're willing to offer online classes for us. So this feels like a big challenge, but I think it's turning into something really positive for the school and for the district.
The other thing I wanna make sure everybody hears, this is important, because we keep hearing this too. I wanna reassure everybody that we are a fully accredited high school. We keep hearing from people that we lost accreditation and all this stuff. We are fully accredited. We file our reports every year with the accreditation committee. We are on some kind of probation, but it's all about community resources. It has nothing to do with the school, high school itself. It has to do with the support the school gets from the community, you know, in terms of funding and resources and whatnot. So I just want to say that publicly, that Franklin High School has been and still is fully accredited high school, so just to reassure you, so.
Can I say something else? I'm sorry, I'm going forward with this more, but I just want to reassure the kids too. I have my own high school student here at the high school. She's a junior this year, and I want to reassure you all that, I don't know if anyone's listening, can talk to Mr. Levesque, you can talk to the guidance counselors, and they will be able to help you. And if you don't have it figured out, you don't know what you wanna do, that's okay. It's okay not to know what you wanna do. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 17 years old, I still don't know what I wanna do when I'm 45. So, don't be afraid to talk to your guidance counselors, don't be afraid to talk to Principal Levesque. And, parents, if you have questions, don't be afraid to call the school too. It's okay to be afraid of this whole situation. It's kind of wavy waters right now that we're all going through, and it's uncertain, but I think we'll pull through okay.
Any other personnel questions for Dan? All right, so we'll let Dan continue on.
Okay. This year, we are partnering at the high school as part of our POG with the critical skills training from Antioch College. And it's gonna require us to do 4 early releases at the high school for staff training. The first of these is on September 21st. So what I wanted to do is tell you about the fact that we're gonna have to have 4 early releases. And then I wanted approval, because I know the date is September 21st. But what I really wanna do is get you just to approve all 4 of these, not knowing what the dates are gonna be, so that we could handle it and deal with it. And make sure we publicize this out to the high school parents. So what it would be high school students only would be getting dismissed early. I think it's 12:45, to make sure the bus routes would be able to be run. I've already checked with the bus company, and they can still run the buses for us. So we're looking for the board to approve, at the very least, September 21st, at best, 4 early releases throughout the year for the high school to participate in this critical skills training.
Anybody want to make the motion?
To have the high school, have 4 early releases, throughout the 23-24 school year.
So Jack's made a motion to allow up to 4 early release for just the high school for the 23-24 school year. Do I have a second? Second by Maureen. Any discussion? Jack?
So, did we find this out after we got, no, the Burn Foundation doesn't impact this? Bar Foundation, excuse me.
And they're paying for it.
Oh, so they are, so that's why we didn't know in advance, when we were sitting at this calendar for this year. This came in after.
Yeah, we had, it's been consultants, right, so negotiating with them, and so we tried to fit it in within the school day, the teachers. Professional development days throughout the year, there's some other state mandated things that have to happen, so we weren't able to do that. Including the first days of school, we were gonna have a full day, but we need to get our faculty meetings, have to have meetings as well, so we're doing a half day. And the second half of that day will be in September. In October, there's half day of suicide prevention, about 2 hours in the morning, so they'll come in the afternoon. So they have a 5-day thing, so we need to coordinate with that. There's no loss of instructional time on those days because students participate in free lunch Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's also tornado support time, so we're not gonna have crew that day. I didn't like that sound. We're not gonna have crew, and we're not gonna have tornado support, but the students will still have their project class that day.
It's just like a snow day. Early release, so the student locks early, so they still have all of their academics, all those days. You want to say anything?
So,
This is your answer, Jack, is we didn't know these dates before.
Yes, the short answer. Yes, we didn't know.
Yeah, we
I know I didn't know.
No funding in July.
But I got two concerns. One is recommended instructional hours under at 306. And if those crew days that you were talking about, are those, I would assume they're factored into an instructional day as counted towards hours?
Absolutely.
They are, but they are, and those are not the project block classes, so students would be missing crew.
It's our advisories.
Which is collaborative time, and then, tornado support.
So how does this impact the overall time for us as we try to maintain the 5 days that we have to carry for the overall?
cuts into, it doesn't give it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Deb?
Are these days that are half days that are gonna be used or utilized, are they tied to the contract in any way as far as professional development days?
No.
They're not? So you don't have like, 5 built-in days, so this is gonna give them 5 built-in days, or 4 built-in days more?
No, because the contract only speaks to full days, and we can have up to 10 full days with our group. It doesn't speak to having half days.
Okay.
So there's no contractual issue that we have to navigate.
So will these half days, these 4 half days, will they be on the same day as another professional day?
No.
They're gonna be
No,
separate?
These are on school days.
Just
That we
regular
want
school
early
days.
release so we can do this training with staff. Does that answer your question? then?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Okay, next up is we have a overnight Portrait of a Graduate convening coming up, October 16th to 18th. And once again, we would like to bring students. The overnight opportunity is in the Berkshires in Massachusetts. So because it's a out-of-state and overnight field trip, we need the board to approve that. We have not recruited the students yet, but we'll begin to recruit the students. And I do anticipate, and we'll come back to the board about travel in terms of how they're gonna get there. We have not worked out the travel situation yet about whether it'll be a staff member to take them, or whether it'll be some sort of chartered bus, or whether we even have their parents take them if we have them come. But right now, I'm looking for approval for just the overnight stay and the out-of-state travel.
So we need a motion on that.
Make a motion to approve the overnight stay and the travel for the graduate stay in Berkshires.
Motion's been made to accept the overnight travel as part of the Portrait of a Graduate convening. Do I have a second? Second by Lori. Is there any further discussion?
So, Dan, are you saying that we'll get a form, the field trip form in the future with all the details?
You'll get the itinerary, and most importantly, the issue is how they get there.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to you with how we're gonna get them there.
Any other discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? One abstention. The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Okay, Delaney did a great job talking to you about the strategic plan process. What we decided, we had so many community members that wanted to participate. We decided to make Saturday, September 16th be the community participation portion. So we'll be sending invites out this week after tonight's meeting where you approve this, or where you with consensus approve it. It would be good for the board to still come and be part of that and listen in. I think that would be a good thing for the board to do if the board's available, people are available to do that day. What we're looking at is a 9 to 11 session now on Saturday, September 16th. I think it would be good for board members that can be there to be there to listen to all of their constituents come in. It will be run by Lynn Healy and Carissa Coro, our consultants that are working on this. So if you are available, I know it's a Saturday, so it's hard, but if there's some of you available that can come and listen, and like I said, I don't think it's something that you need to really participate in. This is kind of the community's chance to work in groups and stuff, but I think you being there, listening in and being supportive and all that would be a good thing. We will meet with teachers later on in September, as Delaney said. We will then have a student session as well. Carissa's gonna run that for us. And then the administrative team will take all of what we've done in the last 6 to 8 months on this and put together some type of draft. The idea would be that the board could decide then whether they wanted to do a work session to put this whole thing together, or whether they wanted the administration to just work on it, so we have some options. I will be bringing this to you in November, so that we will still make our deadline of January to have a brand-new 3-year strategic plan. So that is the idea for the strategic planning process. So, Liz, go ahead.
Can you refresh my memory where's the September 16th session to be held?
September 16th, I'd like to hold it in the middle school cafeteria and library, so we use both those areas. Yeah, that's my plan right now. So I gotta check with maintenance and do a facilities form, but that's, I think, the best area to do it. I don't think we need a motion, I just need head nods that says that sounds pretty good. So I'm seeing head nods, so everybody seems to be in consensus, so that's great. Okay, city use of schools, I did want to let the board know that we've been approached to have voting, Ward 2 voting in the high school. So that is something that they will be doing. They have not decided yet, or communicated to me whether they would be using the cafeteria or the gymnasium. I'm pushing for the cafeteria because my understanding is we don't have covering for the gym floor up here in the high school, like we do at the middle school. So I'm gonna push when I talk to them at the September 5th city council meeting, to see if we can use the cafeteria. The other thing is they are gonna have a couple of city council meetings right here in this room, starting September 5th, and their October meeting, which is that first Monday as well. So I just want the board to know, because of the situation over at the Opera House, that they are gonna be using the high school primarily for these pieces. So you're aware, Liz.
So is the intent to have the October 3rd election? Because right now on the city website, it still says that's going to be held with fire marshal presence at City Hall. So is the idea to move the October 3rd from Ward 2 to here?
That was the latest conversation that I had with them, but I have not been to a city council meeting all summer, so I don't know if they've changed their mind.
It feels late. I don't know what you're thinking.
No, they've already heard from you.
I have a communication from the mayor on August 22nd. I asked her that, so I don't know if you've had a conversation with her like after that, where she said, it's my understanding that I had asked if we are having it indeed at City Hall. She said, it's my understanding that is the case, because the numbers of voters in the building at one time is not a whole lot. We think it can work.
So it sounds like they might change their mind, but I will be there on the 5th to find out for sure. So we're in the city council meeting on the 5th.
Okay.
But I have not been informed.
Deb?
Is, Deb already built into the calendar for the elections? And would there be students here in the building?
No, because we already have voting at the middle school, so it's an in-service day for us already.
For all 3 schools?
For all 3 schools,
Okay.
yeah. It's already an in-service day.
Jack?
Our city charter has to change in order to change polling location. So they may have some kind of beyond the city on their end.
Maybe. Just telling you what I was told back in May.
That'd be responsibility of the city council to make that. I mean, when it comes to using the high school for like city council meetings, it's well within their right to do it, because it is a city-owned building. So they can hold their city council meetings here. So we don't need to approve that, there's no facilitating, this is a city-owned building.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But the other caution, well, we're all set, right? We're up to code, because with the city council, as we know, the meeting has been held there, and
ADA.
people have been in there, and they've looked at things and found deficiencies. So as long as they won't find the same thing when they're meeting here, I'm okay with it.
Are you looking like ADA?
Well,
That's some of it, because then we do have the elevator and so.
Well, with that being said, that we aren't in code on the elevator and everything else.
Right.
But I have been talking to Lisa Jones from the city council in regards to what to expect and not to expect, and we're on the same page. She's been emailing me constantly in regards to how it's going to be set up and where it's going to be set up. But as far as our codes, all I
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, John.
They will need internet access here. So I don't know how that's gonna, for voting, they will. So I don't know how that's gonna work out. When we hosted it at the church, Thompson Hall, they had to bring something in. So just something else that may come up.
What ward would be meeting here if they were to?
Ward 2.
Ward 2.
This will be Ward 2. I think I'll make that call tomorrow. See what the deal is. I can't wait till the 5th now.
Yeah. They had to rewrite the charter to define the zone, to do that, which they did. They hired a surveyor to define it, and it's very technical, because I requested city council to move it out of the middle school in 2012.
Okay, next up is the facilities use requests. So Pastor Luke was here, is still here. Put in this request to you regarding the use of the facility. Don't know how you want to handle that conversation, but I have it on the agenda for you to talk about.
Well, I move that we give permission for, is it First Church? One church. I move that we give permission for one church to utilize one of our schools, whether it be the high school, the middle school, or even Paul Smith School, for one Sunday a week for the year of, for all of the rest of 2023 and all of 2024. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Motion been made to allow
One church.
one church, thank you, to use a school building, whether they've been requested for either the middle school or the high school, one of the classrooms for the rest of 23 and 24, Christie? Is that what you're saying?
In all of 2024.
In all of 2024, okay, and it was seconded by Maureen. Is a discussion. Go ahead, Jack.
We have policy on facilities use.
Yep.
I think I'd like to just make sure that we're all on the same page regarding, because obviously I question the city's authority to take over our buildings. So, I'll have some more discussion. I have another motion.
Go ahead.
Okay, regarding maintenance, particularly in the wintertime, weather, plowing, making sure that the area is safe for entering the building, the readiness. So, in other words, what is going to be our responsibility to make sure that the facility, whether it's the middle school or high school, is available, particularly on a snowy Sunday? The types of maintenance that will be required.
Put that to
Plowing
the
services as well as maintenance within the building, cleaning. Janitorial staff.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I mean, we take.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt. Those, I have some of those same concerns to make sure that we have enough personnel and staffing to be able to facilitate something like this. So there's more discussion, or I can make my motion now, doesn't matter.
Yeah, we get discussion. We can come back to you, you can make a motion, but let me have Maureen's questions answered, and then if you want to make an amendment to the motion, you can.
Mine would be a motion to table,
Okay.
so.
Well, we already have a motion in a second.
Yeah, but can I,
You can't table it, act on the first, we're having a discussion on the first motion. You can come back and make a motion to table, but we're acting on the first motion by Christie, seconded by
the need for more information.
You have to allow discussion.
Right, yes, I understand
But if
that.
you want to take,
Yes.
the motion late afterwards, if that.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, because I don't want to vote, and then it's not gonna make sense to table
No, we're
it,
not
so
gonna
I
vote.
understand.
No.
Okay, Mr. Chair, got it, thank you.
I have a question too. So,
Hold on a second, we're getting too many questions thrown out, so let's take one question at a time. Okay, the question is,
okay.
Lorraine, your question is about maintenance and care during them. So we would need to have a custodian on duty to open the building every Sunday, and we would have to have that custodian here during the time that the church is here, and then be here to lock the building up as well. Additionally, we would have to make sure the building was cleaned, and then we would also have to make sure that on inclement weather days, particularly snow days, that the building was accessible and safe for the church to be here as well. So those are the things that come to my mind as we have this conversation.
I have the policy here. Can I just?
We're in discussion, let people ask questions, and if you have a question, deals with the policy with that, I'll come right to you.
Oh, great. It's been up for a while, that's all.
Trust me. Christie.
My question is in regards to utilizing the facilities. Will they be, where will they be allowed to go? Will it be like, if they have their service in the cafeteria, will they be using only one bathroom over here or one bathroom over there? How would we handle that?
We would handle that as strategically as we could if this gets approved. So if this gets approved, I would meet with Luke and my maintenance director. Three of us would get together and say, what space are you looking for? How many people are we talking about? And then we figure out the best space to do it.
I just wanna make sure, like, if it does get approved, that we don't have people just wandering around the school, because, you know, there's information in cabinets, there's information in classrooms, and that's why I asked that question.
I understand.
Desiree.
So it seems like this is something, I don't know how often other facilities, other people use or request to use our facilities, but it looks like we have something for this. It's pretty cut and dried, and it includes everything that Dan was saying, but was trying to remember, and I'm like, it's written right here. Facility use permits issued on a first-come basis, reserved for only the time available within the coming semester. When schools have been closed because of inclement weather, the facilities will be closed for all use. The schools do not assume the responsibility of contacting groups when such closures occur. Organizations connected with and promoting recognized school functions may use the buildings without charge, and other organizations may use the school property upon payment of suitable fees and costs, which they've already, one church, and Luke has already said that they were prepared to do. According to the fee schedule recommended by the superintendent and approved by the board, which is what you had said would happen. So it feels like this is, maybe we should all review this. It's already written, we've already approved it, it's in our policy handbook. I don't see why it's an issue, unless you want the time to review it.
Lori,
Just had a question about liability.
go ahead. This is discussions.
What is the school responsible for? What is the church responsible for if they're renting the space and something were to happen? If someone were to get hurt?
Well, any entity that does use the school's facilities has to provide us with a certificate of insurance to cover any activities they perform within the school.
So we have to be named as additional insured.
Yep. Yes.
Liz? Lori, does that answer your question? Okay, Liz?
Is there a sort of precedent or history for this or other school buildings being used by organizations with religious affiliations?
Not to my knowledge, that's why I brought it to the board.
And also, if they are approved to use it, they wouldn't be allowed to put any of their literature on the walls or anything like that, because that would go against school policy, and it would also go against state versus church. So I would expect that if we do something.
other discussion?
Is there anything in the policy that talks specifically? I'm concerned that this opens a door that I'm not sure we are prepared to deal with.
I literally just put in our search for the drive, use of school.
Yeah, it's policy KF. That's the one that Des has, and that's the.
But it doesn't, because I know
No,
AED
it does
uses the word
not
organization,
specify.
it doesn't, it
No,
just kind of says.
it's very generic. Other organizations is what it basically says, and it says, other organizations includes Boy Scouts of America, which is religious, Big Sisters of America, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, Future Farmers of America, Girl Scouts of America, also religious, Little League Baseball, Inc., and any other group intended to serve youth under the age of 21 and listed in Title 36, which I don't have up, of the United States Code. The board reserves the right to waive rental fees for charitable or nonprofit organizations.
So my follow-up question would then be, do the one church services only service children under, or people under the age of 21?
Well,
I would like to just put my opinion out there, and it's my opinion, and I'm allowed to my opinion, just like anyone else's, but, I mean, this country was built upon Christian values, and and we do allow people to have their opinions about atheism, and we do allow people to have their opinions about other things that some people don't agree with. I don't see why it would be such a problem for a church organization to utilize a school to have services. They're not impacting the students that are going to the school. They're not impacting the students that live in the community. They just want to utilize the building for this one day a week for throughout the year. I do understand that there is reservations because we don't want to open up doors for other organizations. But as it says in our policy, that we will allow organizations to utilize our buildings, and that's my opinion on this.
There's a statement and then an action item. So obviously, schools are the hub of their communities. I want to make sure that we're dotting all our i's and crossing all our t's. So that's why I would like more information. I'd like to come into this decision with a little bit more knowledge about what we need to do to make sure that we're upholding our policies. We have the staffing to be able to take care of what we need to take care of. So I would like to make a motion to table this.
Motion's been made to table this item. Second?
Second.
Okay, good, go ahead.
I agree with Jack that we need to have more information, but we also need to be looking at policy KG, which is the appendix, which has not been updated since 2013-14, which are the scheduled fees. With this policy or appendix, it's showing a rate of pay for Sundays for custodial that I don't think is going to cover what that would be required of that. So that would need to be looked at.
Policy KG was replaced by policy KF on February 15th, 2021. It was withdrawn.
It's still on the website.
Yeah, it's because I'm behind. My apologies.
Okay.
So do we,
But that policy KF does not have the fee schedule, which this is an appendix. So it may not have been reviewed and updated.
So you're saying we need to look at the fee schedule and the right policy, right?
I'm thinking we have discussion.
Sorry.
Can you?
It's just a discussion,
She has questions still.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just confused on procedure, that's all.
We'll go back to Jack's motion to table.
Yes, but we have already have a motion on it.
Right, we have a motion on it.
So what has to be
a
done
table,
is.
a table can,
She can withdraw her motion and I withdraw my second.
No, because I'm motioning to table the decision on the current motion.
So we're making a motion to table the motion? Yes.
Yes, the decision,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that makes
The
sense.
the vote on.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine, that's cool.
Before we go through with that, can I just ask one more question? When does First Church, One Church, when does One Church need an answer by?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
Jack, your motion is to table the vote.
Yes, yes, it is.
It's just at the
I
table.
understand.
So it's
Thank you.
Table the vote. All right, it's second by Liz. So the motion's on the floor to table the vote. All right, is there any discussion on tabling the vote? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 We're tabling it.
Just tabling the vote. So, aye. Those opposed?
Why are we tabling?
Because you can make that motion. He's making the motion to table the vote. It's well within, it's
For more
He
information.
wants
more information. So we're not gonna take a vote on it. The motion stays on the floor, but he wants to table to take a vote. That is legitimate.
Okay, that's what it is. But I oppose that.
Okay, that's when I asked for help opposing. So we have one, anybody else opposing it? Abstentions? So we have 9 members, that means 8 are voting yes to table the vote, and 1 is voting no. So it's an 8-to-1 vote, the motion passes, and the vote is tabled. Once the board gets all more information, sir, that motion can be brought off the table by any vote of the member of the board. Okay, once that member asks to have that motion taken off the table, at that time, the board can make a decision.
All right.
All right,
And
so,
I have answers to all the questions that were.
Okay.
that were asked too.
and I'm sure
I don't know if I'm allowed to chat.
you would chit-chat with the superintendent,
Okay, great.
Luke, you and I will get together.
and he will bring all that information and all the other information that the board has talked about tonight, for more answers, for more clarification, because as you can see, there were some board members who needed more clarification. So it's not, we're not saying no to you, it's just the vote is tabled. So,
It's good, don't worry.
all right, sir, I just want you to understand that we haven't, just, all right, sir, thank you.
All right, next one's easy. Love to invite you all to our opening day this Thursday morning, where district, all of our staff will be coming in for 8 o'clock breakfast and welcoming and the big hurrah of starting off another school year. So anybody on the board that's available to come in and be part of that, I tell you, it's a very
It's fun.
enthusiastic, it's a very fun, it's, Deb does a big raffle with everybody, and we have Chief Goldstein there, we have Mayor Brown there, and I think Tim's gonna be there again this year. So if you are able to come and be part of that, it's a chance to see and talk to all 165 or 70 or more, we hope, staff members for the Franklin School District. So it really is a great event if you get there. So that's 8 o'clock on high school football field. And with that said, I am done.
Is there any questions for the superintendent on the new business?
I just want to add something
Yep,
to
go ahead,
the
Deb.
opening day. Principals, beware that you'll be handing out tickets. So that gets you a way to meet your staff as well, between you can divide them between your assistant principals and principals, but
I have a question.
makes it easier for me.
Go
I
ahead,
have a
Chris.
question on the pictures. What time does it go to? It starts at 8.
What time does it go?
What time does it go to?
It goes about an hour, hour and a half.
At home,
Yeah, it's, we try to keep it short because everybody wants to get in their classroom and get started.
Any other questions for the superintendent? All right. Let's move on to agenda item 11. It's our administrative report. We'll start with our curriculum update with Jewel.
So obviously, my report was in the drive. Just a couple things to highlight. I literally highlighted them in yellow so I wouldn't forget. Our mobile app is up just by a little bit, but it's been the summer. Hopefully with the start of the school year, those numbers will go up quite a bit. We just finished our 2 weeks of summer PD, and I gave you a summary of all the different things that we ran, but I do want to just thank all the people. It was a huge team effort to pull off that 2 weeks of PD. Huge thanks to Barb and Rebecca for running the sessions they did, to Dan and his entire team of maintenance for revamping all of their cleaning schedules to work around people coming in, and then me reaching out, Dan, I need AC, Dan, the people are too hot, now they're too cold, now they're too hot, now that we need windows open, and Dan just always doing it with a smile, and all the stuff that Jefferson, Colleen, and Kim do to get people paid and get money to pay the people that came in, and IT, everyone rallies together to make that happen, and it's greatly appreciated by everybody, especially me. And then if you scroll all the way down, obviously, despite the fact that we've lost our opera house, we're still going. I can't begin to tell you where I'm going, but I'm going. I'll figure it out. I did it 30 years ago without an opera house, and it stinks that now 20 years later I gotta figure it out again, but we'll make it happen. But the kids will be starting Mean Girls very soon. And the other thing I didn't put on there is I just met with the officers today, and they have a number of field trips coming this year that are already booked. We're going to Boston 3 times, and we're going to the Palace twice. So we have a lot of field trips coming up for them to see various shows, and they're going to Plymouth for a theater workshop day in October. So there's a lot of stuff coming up already. Busy, busy, busy. Any questions? That's it.
All right, thank you, Jill.
Yep.
Rebecca's not with us, so we don't have a special invitation. Rebecca's on vacation. We'll go to the Office of School Wellness with Barbara.
Good evening, everyone. My report is also in the drive. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things as well. You've been hearing from me over the last year about our MTSSB teams getting up and running at all 3 schools. You saw, if you were here in June, sort of the culmination of what that first year of intensity looked like. For the coming year overall, across the district, we're going to be trying to make better use of data to inform our decisions, and that might include how we collect the data, what data we collect, how discipline reports are logged. All sorts of things can go into that, but we want to become a lot more data informed as we're moving forward. We also, our STOP grant will be ending at the end of September, but we do have a super membership to NVIDIA, which is the model that we've been using for all of our safety trainings and our risk trainings in terms of behavioral threat assessments. So we will continue with those trainings throughout the coming year. And finally, I included some pictures on my report. Jewel did mention all of the great work that was done over Summer Institute. She failed to mention the one Monday morning when we got up. It had to be a Monday, and we all had an email from Robin saying, by the way, the school district has no internet. And we managed to rally and figure out, like, based on, hey, okay, everybody log into my hotspot or her hotspot, or, so we problem solved that. But for me, the highlight of the Summer Institute was the 2 days I was able to spend with an instructor from Project Adventure and 6 teachers who got qualified to lead people through the climbing wall in the middle school gym. It's been a resource that's been underused for a long time. Other teachers may also use the wall as long as one of those trained leaders is there. And then we'll be working on getting some sort of train the trainer stuff going. We have a couple of people who went through the training who are really adept at what they were doing. But just the beauty of seeing these 6 teachers, there was an entire team. I don't remember if it was the 5th grade team or the 4th grade team, but an entire grade level team that was there together. And just seeing them gel and work together as a team, it was partly about the technical aspects of how to tie knots and belay people, and partly about just sort of the team building and how to use the wall in social emotional learning in other ways. They were talking about physics and math and so many ways that it can be used. So that will also be open to teachers and students from across the district as well. 5 of the teachers were from the middle school and 1 was from the high school. And I got to the top of the wall.
Questions for Bob?
It's harder than it looks.
Thanks, Bob. All right, we'll move on to Paul Smith School Principal report. Jay.
Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, just again, a giant thank you for offering me the opportunity to come back to Franklin. Like the superintendent said, it has been a fantastic summer, and I'm really looking forward to students and staff coming back next week. I would share with you that for this school year, I have 3 goals that I'll be working on, really to get to know the faculty and staff of PSS, to learn the culture of the building, and also to get to know the parents and the guardians and the students in the Franklin community who are sending their kids there every day. And the second one is to utilize our school improvement plan to increase the student academic achievement. And the third one is kind of related to what Barbara just said, to use data-driven decision-making to create a school where the students can learn and flourish as they get ready to go on to the middle school. Now, that said, I'll share with you that over the summer, while summer school was in session, it is entirely the fault of Title I that these pants are a little bit tight, because they taught their children how to make pasta by grinding their own flour. So they ground their own wheat to make the flour. They then made the pasta, and then the next day they made some fresh rolls. So the smells coming down the hall at PSS all summer long were very enticing. Tomorrow, it proves to be, I'm hoping it's going to be a very exciting day. Tomorrow is new teacher orientation, so we'll have 2 new teachers at Paul Smith. Ms. Stewart and Ms. McGregor will both be teaching grade 2. Actually, Ms. McGregor has already started her time at Paul Smith School. She taught during the summer school program, so she's been in the building. But both of them have been in the building almost every day, getting their classrooms ready, coming and asking questions, and they're both extremely excited to be joining the Paul Smith team. I would also share with you a little bit more about the school improvement plan. I'm going to assume that it's been uploaded into the drive, or at least the part that I talked about so far. So really there are 2 goals that go along with the school improvement plan. One is that by the end of this school year, we'll see an increase of at least 10% in student academic scores and growth in the math and reading assessments on the SAS. So we actually, I don't know if the superintendent shared this earlier, but we found out something just recently that's going to cause us to work a little bit more quickly, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the parameters for the SAS have changed a little bit in that usually you can do the math, the reading and writing all at the end of the year. That has changed a little bit. The writing has to be done in March. So we have to change our focus just a little bit, but that's not a big jump to make. And the other part of the goal for the school improvement plan is, again, by the end of the school year, that we'll see an increase of 15% of student achievement on the Ames Web testing. Now, the reason that there's 2 goals set up like that is because grade 3 is the only grade that does the SAS testing at the end of the year, but we want to look at the whole school, and the whole school does Ames Web testing, so we're going to be looking at that kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. So to go a little bit deeper into this, the way we're going to be working to achieve these goals is I've already established and started to share with the teachers that we're going to be doing monthly data team meetings at the grade level, and that's in addition to our whole school faculty meeting. We're going to work to have more fidelity to the Fly 5 program, which is the school's SEL program. And superintendent and I just worked together. I've been researching this. I'm really excited about this, to bring in something called high-dose, high-quality tutoring. That comes from some database research coming out of Washington, D.C., one of the school districts there, and the West Ed organization. So essentially what that boils down to is working at the kindergarten and 1st grade level, it's 1-to-1, 1 student, 1 teacher. At the 2nd and 3rd grade level, it's 1 teacher in groups of 2 or 3 students. The data would show that it's most effective in that kind of ratio. And the high dosage means that for 20 or 30 minutes, maybe once, maybe twice a week, those students would be working with a classroom teacher to really improve those skills, again, using the data to make decisions about what skills we need to focus on. Students would be working with those teachers to target those specific skills. And ideally, we should start to see some student gains, even in the middle of the year, because we'll do the Ames Web testing beginning, middle, and end. So you'll have more about that I think in the September meeting, right, Dan?
It'll be on the agenda for September.
Okay.
Any questions for Jay? We'll move on to our middle school report with Jenny.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Happy end of summer. All right, I am happy that it's the end of summer, sort of. Just wanted to let you know that obviously my report was in the drive. I did set up a link for you to go ahead and look right. You guys can look at our actual plan. Thank you. With the goals on it, so I won't go through that now. One thing that had not actually transpired when I had created the report and handed it in was that we have now started or revived the PTO, courtesy of some of the amazing parents who are on the PTO at Paul Smith, but have students now in both buildings. So the middle school is really excited to have a PTO presence again. We had a really great meeting. They actually have all kinds of plans and ideas, and that's just, I'm really happy because there's just way too much stuff to do in that building. So it's like, yes, somebody else is willing to jump in. So any questions for me? How was that, Barb? Thanks.
Move on to our high school report with Dave.
Just a couple quick updates. We had our freshman switch program. I just want to give you a little bit of data because we focused this year on engaging the students at the middle school. So I think we had 5 or 6 visits to the middle school this year at the end of the year. Enrollment for the summer program was up by 50 or 60%. We surveyed the kids at the end. 67% of the kids who feel much more confident now than entering high school. They feel like they're ready to go, having participated in the transition program in our visits. 83% felt that the switch program was really important and valuable to their growth and understanding. And then the 80% of the kids also felt that our time at the middle school and the kids coming here at the end of the year was very helpful to them feeling confident and being ready for the high school. There was a picture in the Daily Sun of our kids kayaking. If you hadn't seen that, it was last week. It's someday last week. And as I think Superintendent said, we have scheduling coming up for students, been focusing on getting the schedule ready, making sure we have everything ready for opening day.
Any questions for Dave? Thank you, Dave. The last administrative update would be our facilities report from Dan.
Good evening, everybody. Summer's been a challenge. I think the last 4 years we have not been down to the wire as far as still waxing floors and stuff. A lot of different stuff going on, so I got a few more gray hairs, but that way we're still not done. We do have the second phase of the lead testing going on for the water. We went through 3 phases until 24, so the second phases have been taken and we're waiting for results. Backflow testing has been completed, all 3 schools passed. EEI roof project, the Paul Smith School is at 100%. Everything has been okay, checked, and working order. We are having a little bit of problem at the middle school balancing it. That is still in the process. We were planning on having it done by now, but there's still going to be a few more days of working on that. With that being said, it will not affect the school as far as opening day or anything. This is just getting the other balance between the schools. It's a matter of just balancing on the front end. New dishwashers were installed at Franklin Middle School and Paul Smith School this summer. So that means all 3 schools now, including the high school, has new dishwashers. Boiler test is all passed, elevator testing passed. We did have a fail on the phone in there. It was not set up for 603 area code 911. I guess it has not been tested prior to me being here the last 4 years, but the guy tested it this year and it failed. So they updated that. It's a phone in the elevator, so if somebody's stuck in it, they can call for emergency. So we had to change that. I want to do a special thank you to Jay. He's gone above and beyond. We have a few challenges with the custodians at the Paul Smith School. Jay's got down and dirty. He's actually, I'm very impressed. He's actually jumped right in and helped us out 100%. I do appreciate you, Jay. Thank you for doing that. I also want to just throw a shout out to Christine. Thank you for the positive output as far as the grounds and stuff. That means a lot. I do forward that to my employees, and that does give them, it lifts up the spirits. They like to hear it. So thank you for that. Any questions?
Jack, do you have a question?
He's good.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
All right, so that closes agenda item 11. Agenda item 12, any late items, Dan?
I got a couple.
Okay.
So we talked earlier about a van to transport primarily high school kids to different locations. We started the process to look for a van. Dave's been very helpful, and Jefferson's been working on it as well. Deb, we looked at the state bid. They have no 12-passenger vans available, so we did look at that avenue. So we've been looking and getting different quotes and whatnot. So it looks like we could spend anywhere from $40,000 to $90,000 or $100,000, depending on what type of van we want to get. You know, what we're looking for is something that's functional and cost-effective. We wanted to move on this fairly quickly. So we believe, Jefferson and I, after talking this afternoon, that we can find a van probably for about $50,000 that would be just about new or maybe a little bit used. So we're still working on getting different quotes from different places. So the question becomes, how do you want us to handle this moving forward? So we can talk to you tonight and get a up-to vote of how much you're willing to allow us to spend and try and move quickly. We could go out and try and get 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, we've got a bunch of different places quoting us all kinds of different, prices for whatever kind of van we're looking for. What I would like to see is the board approve us, remembering, by the way, that we just were given $300,000 extra between the fund balance and the adequacy money. So I'd like to see the board give us at least up to $50,000 to pursue getting a van, so that we can have a way to get these kids to Winnisquam, get them back, and also have a way to get the kids to Concord and back, plus all the other kids that we want to move around town to work on internships and all this other stuff. The problem with our existing vehicle is you need a commercial license to drive it, and we just don't have enough people that have that ability. Jefferson can speak to you about the insurance company. He reached out to the insurance company about this. I don't know if you want to speak to this, Jefferson?
Well, the 12-passenger van falls into the vehicle requirements that we're allowed to use, that the insurance company does not like 15-passenger vans, mainly just because of their tendency to maybe have high center of gravity on it, unless you went with a minibus style, which has a very low center of gravity and dual wheels in the rear. But as far as licensing requirements or anything like that, they aren't as stringent as you would be, say, for our other van that we have on the property for a school bus. Yes.
I have a couple questions. Do we think that 12, based on the estimated capacity, or do we think 12 is going to be an adequate number for transferring students based on?
What I see happening, Liz, is us getting a 12 and showing you how successful it is and getting another 12. So that we have 2 12s, because we could actually start using this for sports teams and all kinds of different things down the road. The transportation costs that we have are, I mean, what we would pay to have a little bus come and bring kids back and forth is just really, really astronomical. So the idea is to allow us to get the one van, show you how functional it is, and show you how much it's used, and show you how much it would save compared to using the transportation company. And then they come back at some point and say we should get 2, so that we can start using it for athletics and stuff.
And who is, do we have a pool of drivers? Do we have a plan for who would?
We would develop a pool of drivers based on the staffing that we have, yeah.
That answered my question.
Okay.
Jack?
Did the law change regarding the school bus certification? The number? have one for the fire department.
But you needed one
But I
for
didn't,
that.
I didn't have one for that.
So the 12 passenger, you most likely will need to have a cookout also.
So, but I know a commercial license, I didn't need one, and we specifically went that route with that particular van because all we needed was a school bus certificate, which was, the classes were provided by our education company, after school staff.
Right. At this point, we're not being successful at training and having people take that course. So that's what's limiting our use of this van. But my understanding is if we get a 12-passenger van, that we don't have to go through that process, that we can just, according to our insurance company, we're able to just drive that with a regular driver's license.
We don't need DOT approval.
That's our understanding.
Unless the laws change, I don't know enough, I haven't done enough research about it, but, I'm pretty sure transporting students, you need a school bus certificate.
During COVID, that's, I drove a van every basketball game, they, most basically, and most schools are going to vans now for that reason, so for example, fill up your White Mountain, how many students from White Mountain team?
11.
We could take that up to White Mountain, instead of taking a bus, it would cost us $1,000. So, my understanding, I don't know, but it was basically the 50 passenger or less, you don't need that CDL.
Right, 16 or more according to what it says on the DOT, New Hampshire Division of Motor, right.
Yeah.
But you still need a school bus certificate.
No, she was.
The school bus endorsement is required for a vehicle to transport 16 or more students, including the driver.
So it must change, because our district required that course to drive that van. So, do you know that?
That was a while ago.
Who would maintain the vehicles?
We would, maintenance, yeah,
So maintenance the
yeah,
vehicles.
just like all of our other vehicles, yeah.
Would that become an ELL, or ELL, sorry, for, the students? As far as like, yes, we said, well, that ELLs work.
Yeah, that's what we would use it to help get them around to wherever they need to
Right,
go.
but could the students, start maintaining these vehicles and assist for things, opening jar ones, but could they, you become like, the word I'm looking for, understudies, basic internship, thank you, like interns, underneath the maintenance department. Apprenticeships. Apprenticeships. It could be a good opportunity for anyone that's interested in learning, like car mechanics, that don't want to go over to Hewitt or.
We would only take care of very minor stuff, Christie, we would still send this out.
Okay, so it wouldn't be us maintaining.
No.
them. It would be.
Only very minor type stuff, yeah.
Okay, so minor stuff would be us, but as
Yeah.
far as maintaining the vehicle as a unit.
We would send it, we would send it.
Okay, that was what my question
Yeah,
was.
okay, great.
Any other questions for Dan on this?
Do we have a student transportation policy? I'm not finding it.
I'm sure we do, yeah.
Jack?
I know that you're looking for a motion for up to a specific amount. I would like to adhere to our policy about bidding requirements for $10,000, as expressed in the past.
That, just so you know, that policy is going to committee at the first meeting to be changed, because bidding something with $10,000 makes no sense. Bidding should be something that's like $200,000. Getting quotes, by the way, is fine. Like, that makes sense to get quotes. It doesn't make sense to bid something that's $10,000. So that, just so everybody knows, that's going to policy to be looked at.
Could we possibly get a list of the quotes before we make a decision on how much to spend? That way we have a better idea. I know that you said it could be anywhere from 50,000 to 90,000, but that doesn't tell me exactly how much a 12,000 van is going to tell me. You can find something that's actually less than 50,000.
So what we were looking at before the meeting tonight was new vans in the mid-40s, which is why I'm saying that we were looking for the up to 50. So we can, bring something to you September 18th, but remember that means there's 2.5 weeks of school, but we gotta figure out, you know, how to get kids, because kids are gonna go to Winnisquam.
So you wanna find something that we can purchase within the next week?
Well, here's the biggest problem with a lot of that is actually finding something.
Finding something.
Right now, one dealership already said it won't be until next year that we can be able to get one.
Have you looked at merchants in this?
Well, that's what we're doing.
They haven't.
We haven't gotten through all of our research on it right now.
So I don't mind coming back on the 18th, but just know that we're gonna have transportation issues trying to get kids where they need to go. And it's either gonna be using the transportation company, which is outrageous, but that's really our only option, you know, at this point. So we're trying to move as quickly as possible with this, knowing that it's something that we're gonna need to do.
Now, if students have their license, are they allowed to drive themselves?
They would be with parent permission, yes. So we're, you know,
And would they need parking permits, say, at one in this long?
they would have to have permission, and they need permission to park there.
So they would have to buy a parking permit for Winnisquam and a parking permit for Franklin.
I'm not sure how Winnisquam would handle that, but that's just another layer of what we're trying to figure out here.
Delaney?
We haven't run the numbers, Delaney, but knowing what the transportation costs that we pay in this district, when we have to use taxis to move kids around, or when we use the buses for special stuff. I mean, Dave's quite literally correct. When we take buses for an athletic event, you're looking at $500 to $1,000 for a trip. You know, so you add that up with all the sports that we run at the middle and high school, just for sports alone. But if you start adding in, you know, 2 or 3 trips to back and forth to Winnisquam every day, I mean, it's gonna add up really, really quickly. And I have not spoken to the transportation company yet about this.
Compared to maybe tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Can I give you an example? So last year, we sent high school kids to Paul Smith School to read to the kids. It cost us $375 to bring kids over there and back. It's, I don't know, 3 miles. It cost us $375 for one trip for an hour of their, they had to wait in the parking lot for our kids to leave, get back on the bus.
Why didn't we have them walk? It's right over, I'm not
Paul
trying to
Smith?
Patty or anything, just to go. It's 3 miles, and it's good exercise. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but like that, why would we spend $375 on a bus to Paul Smith School when our students are very perfectly capable of walking their feet to Paul Smith School from here? But you take that time out and it becomes part of the learning experience. I don't know. I know this is another discussion.
It's just an example of price-wise, that's what we're getting at, so.
I know, and I just opened up another.
Delaney?
It seems like a no-brainer, economically speaking, to make the investment in a vehicle that will pay for itself within 2 years, maybe less, just you'd save transportation costs. So, I'd like to move forward on
Go ahead and make the motion.
move that we approve spending of up to $50,000 on a 12-passenger van.
A motion's been made to approve up to $50,000 on a 12-passenger van. Do I have a second? Second by Maureen. Discussion?
Can I amend that, a motion, actually? I'd like to amend it from 50,000 to 65,000, because he said it would be from anywhere 50,000 to 90,000. And I feel that if we have that $300,000 that was given to us, and we need something like this for our students, I asked another question. We need something like this for our students to be transported, and it's economically more affordable. I feel like we need to look more between 50 and 65,000.
So there's been a motion to amend amend it to 65,000. Do I have a second on the amendment?
Second.
Second, okay, by Liz. Okay, so now we're back to the original motion. Is there any other discussion on the original motion?
So are we discussing the amendment?
amendment first.
That's
And
what
then
we
we'll
did the
have
last
general
time.
discussion.
All right, so the motion is to amend up to 65,000. So it has been a second, it's a discussion of the 65,000. Delaney.
What was your requested number? Did you give a request?
I said 50.
Were you comfortable with?
I'm happy with 65. Gives us a little more wiggle room. Thank you, Kristen.
Okay, so is there any more discussion on the amendment?
I don't have a discussion on it. Can I ask a question? And it's in regards to the transportation itself, because I wasn't able to ask it when we were talking about the transportation fund. I know it doesn't have to do with the amendment.
Can we, yeah, we're gonna have to vote on the amendment. It has to, the discussion has to be on what the amendment is on the motion,
Okay,
but we can come back to it after we make the vote.
okay.
Okay, because you really have, you should stay on what the motion is,
Okay.
all right? Not to shut you down, Chrissy, but
No,
we
I
really
know,
need to.
I know, that's why I asked.
Okay, all right, so the motion's been, amendment been made to appropriate up to 65,000. So we're voting on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. Abstentions? One abstention. Okay, so the motion on the amendment passes. So now we're gonna go back to the original motion, which is to appropriate up to $50,000. Now we have to act on this, so is there any more discussion on the $50,000? You have to still do the motion. You still have to vote on the original motion. So Jack, it's this discussion. Go ahead, Jack.
So I just want to reiterate the policy that we have regarding spending, something that I would like to make sure that we adhere to. Obviously, it's up to the duty of the board to do as they wish. I just want to make that known. I also want to let the board know if transportation costs are a considerable amount that we need to factor in. We don't have a requirement to transport students above 8th grade, so that's something that we need to pursue in the future. Obviously, it's not ideal, but if we need to find funding, just want to make that point.
You are correct, Doug. All right, so any other, Delaney?
Doesn't, we voted to amend motion.
Right.
The motion should now be.
65.
Okay, up to 65,000.
So doesn't that,
I just go with yours on the 50, so, but, yeah.
doesn't that wipe out the fifty?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
All right, so now we're gonna go back to the motion to appropriate up to $65,000, okay?
Comment?
Yep, go ahead.
So we have buses that run to Hewitt from Franklin. They stop at Winnisquam on their way to Hewitt. Why can't we utilize, are we gonna just completely get rid of that and just do this 12 passenger van?
No, because we have up to 15 kids.
And they only go once.
They go in the morning and
Yeah.
they come back.
They
and
go
then leave
once.
their afternoon.
So we would use that when we can, because we're already paying for it. But that's not gonna cover what we need to do in this situation.
I guess I would have to see the schedules, you know, like how many students are going to be going over to Winnisquam? How many students are gonna be going to Concord, or why are they going to Concord? I hadn't heard about that. That's, I missed that then. But just, we have a bus already going, and I feel like we're wasting money by buying something if we already are using a bus. Like, we have a driver that's certified, they're driving bus. If there's space on the bus for the students that are going to Winnisquam, at the same time there are kids going to Hewitt, why aren't those students on that bus, go to Winnisquam, pick up the kids from Winnisquam, bring them to Hewitt, they come back, they bring them back to Franklin? You know, it's like, it just seems like a
That's
no-brainer.
currently what we do, but we need to do a lot more than that. And it's not just because of the situation we're in, it's the redesign of this school and what you guys want for your high school. I mean, if you want kids to be out of this building and out in the community and doing all these things, we have got to provide transportation for them
Honestly,
to do
what
that.
I want is I want teachers in this building. That's what I want. I want, us as taxpayers, we pay for our students to be professionally educated in this building. And unfortunately, and it's not your fault, I know it's a statewide issue, it's actually a nationwide issue. But that's what I want. I don't want my child to be carted off to another school district. I want her to have the same school, I want her to be with her peers that she's been with since kindergarten. And I want her to be learning from an educated person here in Franklin. So this isn't really what I want, but I feel like I have no choice to vote on it. Sorry, but that's just how I took it when you said this is what we want, and it's not what I want.
What I'm saying, Christie, is it's not the Winnisquam piece. It's all the other things that we're working to do for kids. So the Winnisquam piece is a piece of it, but it's all the other work we've done for 3.5 years with the Portrait of a Graduate and what we're trying to accomplish. We can't accomplish what we set out to do if we don't have transportation for kids. And it's a lot cheaper to provide our own transportation than it is to try and use our bus company. That's the only thing we're trying to say here.
Desiree?
So I understand Dave was saying about buses, and I understand what you're saying, but what I don't have is anything concrete. And I understand planning, but there's no concrete data yet because we don't know when school hasn't started, and I understand you have to plan for when. So it's a difficult position. I agree with you. And I'm still on the bidding process because I feel like we aren't. There's got to be something. And I know this is a late item, but I don't think it's okay. And I don't have any proof that it isn't okay, but I'm still looking to see if it's okay to just not go through the bidding process. I know there's like RSAs and there's like a process for a reason. That's to protect us and the school district. So I'd like to know more about that. I'd like to know how many students. I know that they've been registering students, and I know the Portrait of a Graduate you've been working on for 3 years, but do you have any idea what you need? Because we don't have that.
Can I get some concrete examples?
Hold on a second.
So that's, I would have a really hard time saying, here's $65,000, but there's no reason. There's just a concept, and we're going to need it. And I think that we should have that before you pass that. Even if we have to go back.
Remember, this is discussion, there's already a motion on the floor, so this is discussion on the motion to allow up to 65,000. We've already appropriated it, so we need to stay within the motion. So, and you stayed within the motion, you're fine, I'm just kind of reminding people. Deb, I gotta kind of be fast, we'll get around here.
I agree with everything that's being said. I think we are in a position to save money over the years by purchasing a van. However, I am in agreement with the bidding policy, and I have, past history is the same. I think we need to have an RFP for what we're actually looking for, and have vendors propose some pricing, because I think you'll find that across the board, there'll be different models and different of this and that, but you want a comparison of those through that bid process. And I had suggested that we check for a state bid, but unfortunately, they don't have one for vans, which would have saved us money on the other end as well. So that's just my 2 cents.
Maureen?
Okay, I'm just gonna kind of just explain how I see it. First of all, this is a situation that just came out of nowhere. Can I just say, it's a situation that we're in, and we're attempting to problem solve. And so, at this point in time, I don't think we can say that we're being proactive or reactive, because we had never really been put in this position of all of a sudden we have this shortage. Now, what I am looking at is, so that's one piece. So we need to problem solve. And the thing that I keep hearing is, and I think some of the people over here, and some of my co-pilot partners in crime have mentioned, is the scheduling piece. And the thing that exists right now with what we have with the busing contract is that they take the kids from point A, from the school, to Winnisquam, and then to Hewitt. And then from there, they come back. So there is just this one bus time. Okay, what happens if, and then there is the situation where kids are having to wait and they're missing part of their classes because the bus is not coming back at the time that they could be going to their next class. So I think that we're trying to say flexibility. We'd still be using the bus company to do the transporting that we have, but there are other schedules that we need to address the students' needs. And maybe they need to be at Winnisquam an hour later. Now, with Concord, that's a whole other ballgame. So we need to have transportation there. Because right now, we're trying to figure out how to have our students meet all their curriculum needs, their credits that they need to graduate. And so we're just trying to troubleshoot, we're trying to figure how to do this the best way and to meet their needs. And it's flexibility, and this extra bus will give the flexibility to meet the needs of the other students. The students who are already scheduled, who are already in that program on the regular bus route, they're okay. It's the other students who need this coursework. So we're not in that we can't be criticized for being reactive. This is just something that has happened. And
So,
we need to work.
Which is why I made a motion to go to 65,000.
Yes, and I
It's something-
appreciate that.
And I do realize this is something that we need, but I'm also looking at all the other resources that we use, and that's why I asked.
Well, that, I tried to address that with the other needs
Okay, can
of the
we-
students.
Let's stay in discussion. Go ahead, Jack.
Thank you. I'm gonna make a motion to table the vote on this item.
Second.
Second by Deb. Okay, so motion's been made to table the vote. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
No, no.
All right, so that motion does not pass. Is there any other discussion on the original motion?
I think we need to make a decision.
Well, we do, but I still gotta allow discussion.
Yeah, I know.
So, Jack? No, actually, Jack, let me get back to you. Desiree?
So, this is where I'm just, I'm sort of backtracking, trying to problem solve it in my head. That's just how my brain works, but we are going to spend $65,000, which will more than likely finance. I'm not really sure how that would be written up, but we're gonna, so we may pay interest on this. And then we can't pay our teachers more. And so now we're financing something to replace a salary. Like, that's a salary. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Like, that's a salary that we're going to spend because we couldn't possibly, maybe we didn't pay another salary or increase the salary. So I just have a really hard time, like, it's almost like we're slapping a Band-Aid on.
Let me just say, we all wanna pay our teachers more, trust me.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're under a contract though. Contract that they approved and the board approved.
I get it.
So in order to change that, you have to write a amendment to their contract, okay? And that hasn't been brought even forward to the board or to, I get it, but I'm just saying, we all wanna pay our teachers more, trust me. That's why we're in negotiations for a new contract with the teachers currently. You know, and hopefully some positive will come out of it. We don't know yet, because we're still in negotiations. but in order to change the teacher's salary that is under contract, that the teachers approved, we have, that's a whole different thing. I'm not saying I disagree, because I agree our teachers deserve more.
I'm just saying, we're spending more money.
I get
here,
that.
We're financing money even.
But understand with our teachers, we all want to pay more, but we have to work with what their contract is. And there's nothing we can do unless there's an amendment done to their contract.
And can we amend that today?
It's not.
No, that's part of negotiations.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I just, I agree.
Yeah, all right, go ahead, Jack. Well, Lori,
defer to Lori.
Lori, yeah, I know, she's been holding up around. Go ahead, Lori.
I just want to make the point that I think the bus would give us more flexibility in a lot of areas. So we're talking about schools. If we're spending, so my son went on 2 robotics and 4 track meets. So say that's $6,000 for just that part. So if we're investing in opportunities for the students in multiple areas, and I think it's gonna pay for itself.
I agree with you, and I totally get it, but put it in a, show us that. And provide that, because that's what I'm used to looking at, numbers. Like that's what we do. So why can't we have that? Show us the savings so that I can show constituents, and we're like, oh, we're blowing money on buses, and I need to.
Savings and its opportunity, it's both. It's not just one
So
or the other.
it's unrealized.
Because you're gonna see that there's gonna be a benefit, because we're not spending $1,000 on a bus. But there are also opportunities for kids to go to classes in those areas, at their choice, right? So if my son wanted to take an automobile class at LLRC, they can do that. It gives them the opportunity, so there's 2 measures, right? It's not just money.
I get it, but there is financial forecast.
All right, so, Jack?
The Delaney's original motion,
Was for 50,000, which is gone now, because we voted on 65,000.
so is that for the purchase of the vehicle only?
Up to.
That does not include supplemental costs for insurance, driver education, none of that, correct?
Delaney's?
Yes.
No.
Okay,
Is this
so
the appropriate up to
Just so
50,000?
we know what we're voting on.
All right. And for the sake of time, I'm gonna call the question. I'm gonna call the question, so there's no more discussion.
Talking about that for like 30 minutes, I will say that.
Cadence has a question.
Cadence, because I really gotta move along here. Cadence, go ahead.
I was just like focusing on like how getting the buses opening a lot more doors for all of these classes that weren't able to like provide this year. So like with getting a bus for like Winnisquam, you can get so-and-so classes at Winnisquam now that you weren't able to get here. So it's also just pushing a lot for like what you have as your rest of your high school career. So it's opening a lot more doors that we didn't see before.
For the students, yeah. All right. So we've called the question. So we're done with discussion. All right, so all in favor of the motion, which is appropriate up to 65,000, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Abstentions, okay, so the motion passes.
Thank you. The next one's a lot easier.
You sure?
I promise. No, I didn't say this one was easy. This one's a little bit easier. Had conversations with Danny Sylvester, our athletic director. Our football numbers at the high school are low, like really low. And the football numbers at Winnisquam are really low. So I need to inform you that he's going to engage Winnisquam in conversations about the teams merging for next year.
So are we merging Winnisquam and Franklin? Is that what's happening?
No, it's just,
It seems.
so I want to make sure you're aware of that because there's a history of Franklin football, but our numbers are down to about 19, 21, or 19, which is very difficult to field a team for a whole season with injuries and stuff. And he had told me that their numbers were about the same or maybe even worse. So we're both Division IV schools, so the idea is to merge with an existing team that has existing facilities, so that we didn't have to merge potentially with somebody who doesn't have an existing program and only a few kids, because there's a couple other districts around there in the same boat. So I need to let you know that these conversations are going to start as soon as I talk about it tomorrow morning, to tell them that I let the board know that this is going to happen. Where it goes is anybody's guess. Winnisquam's not aware that we're going to reach out to them about this yet. But I need the board to be aware that that conversation is going to begin, potentially for next year, so.
How are the soccer numbers?
Haven't heard that they're bad.
I heard that they're gonna this year.
Really, for next year, meaning 24, 25, or 23?
Yeah.
It will impact which season?
Next season, next fall. A year from now.
Great movie one day.
Any other late items?
No more late items.
Sure.
Nope, we're fine. That's enough.
All right.
I haven't seen you in 2 months.
Did all your questions, I had to call it, but I know I told you I'd get back to you. You all set?
My questions?
No, Carissa.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you listen to the cadence.
Okay, so you're good? All right, I didn't want to ignore you. All right, agenda item 13, we have one policy on here for second reading, which means we've already had first reading. Everybody should have had the opportunity to read over it. Our second reading is the second reading and approval. This is policy JLCB, immunization of students.
So move to approve as presented.
And Doug made a motion to approve, second by Maureen, discussion. Yep, Desiree, this is right where you want to be.
I'm sorry, but I did have to, I posted this, just the agenda, and I did have several people reach out to me about this in particular. I looked.
Hi, guys. Sorry. My bad. See you in the morning. Sorry, Des.
Did I drop my wallet? Oh, yeah, happens all the time.
Yeah, kind of. Enjoy. Great.
It's not that I'm not enjoying this, it's just 30 minutes about buses. I feel like it takes like more than 10 minutes to be able to.
All right, go ahead, Desiree.
I'm bringing forward constituent concerns because I had posted it. I know this is the second read. I went through it and the only thing that I could see that was different is the notarization is no longer required for an exemption for a religious belief.
Okay.
I didn't have my packet with me when this question came in. I didn't bring it with me to the country. But I did look it up. I looked it up again here. That's the only thing. But a lot of people, because of their power of the COVID coming back up, are concerned about it. They want to make sure. I read it, and it's according to the New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services. Doesn't have to do with our policies. Basically, just we do whatever New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services requires all schools to be vaccinated. Have a list. They provide a list of vaccinations. So some people, there were two parents that said that their children, they were concerned that their children would be not allowed to come to school because if they did not get this immunization. And I just wanted to address that.
Which immunization we talking?
The COVID one, because everybody's right.
Okay, 'cause it
And
goes-
it's not on our list.
Not on the list,
Yeah, it's
No,
not,
which I did assure them.
yeah.
But they're concerned that it would be put on the list, and I said, that's not something that we can.
Put on our list, in order to get on our list, it has to change our policy. And then if it changes our policy, then we'd have to bring it back for another first reading and second reading and approval. So we adhere to whatever passes tonight is what our school district will adhere to.
Correct, and the only thing that I can see different, and I'm as well, is that's different from our policy now, is the notarization.
Because of that change, we have to bring it back for first reading and second.
Right.
So with nothing in there about COVID, we're not gonna change anything with COVID.
Right, I just wanna make, that's a very sensitive subject.
Yep.
I personally am sensitive about it as well, but, I mean, I looked even before, it's not on the New Hampshire, Department of Health and Human Services list of required vaccines.
It would be where I see them.
So then I'm
Good?
bringing forward my concern.
No, that's fine. I have no problem with that. It answers the question that COVID is not on there, and until it gets on there, and that would only be by a change of policy.
We have to change the policy.
Yep.
Right, okay.
Any other discussion?
Only if it becomes an RSA.
Right.
Yeah,
On the-
obviously, we have to adhere to the
Right.
RSA.
Which I explained,
Yeah.
and I guess I'm asking for confirmation of my explanation.
You are correct.
After
Affirmative.
research.
Yep, you are correct. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Policy JLCB passes. All right, item number 14, public participation. This is my second public participation. Again, you have 3 minutes in which to speak to the school board on any concerns you may have, and I give no more than 30 minutes to the session. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the board? You good, Al? We got everything answered?
Yeah, I would love to talk and get some attention, but I just can't think of anything.
That's unusual. All right, you're all set?
I mean, I can answer all the questions that come up. I don't know if I'm allowed to address them. We'd be looking for an answer from the school board within the month of September, but it sounds like it's tabled until next October, until this coming October, is that right?
September 18th.
September 18th.
Off the table September 18th.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you very much.
Just a matter of the next meeting, if someone wants to take the motion, take
Great.
it off the table, they can do it, we can vote on it.
Okay, very
It
cool.
stays on the table all the way till a board member makes it a motion to take it off. So they can decide if they want to keep it on the table till January next year, for example. And that's what it would say. You can't vote on it until it comes off the table.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you very much. I was just seeing if it was waiting until October if we had to find a new space, so.
Do it next month if we have to.
Okay, I appreciate that. And as I said, I can answer all questions that came up. I just didn't want to interrupt during anything. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Could you answer the questions? Like, do you have them written down?
Well, there was one about, am I allowed to answer?
Public participation.
Okay.
You have the 3 minutes.
There was, ooh, talk fast, let's Cameron, preacher, let's go. There was one about insurance, and yes, everything that we partner with the city, like for instance, Mill City Park, we partnered with before, and we've made them additionally liable as well. There's conversation, covered as well. So we have our own insurance, and we can cover that, and with schools that we partner with in the past, it works the same way as well. There's also a discussion about paying janitors for cleaning services. We would not expect the school district to cover that. It is something that, since we are using the building additionally, we would pay that, and if we could not find someone to staff it, we would make sure that there was a cleaning service or whatever it was to get that done for your standards. And then finally, with using the building, obviously we'd be limited to wherever we were told we could go. We'd be looking for a large meeting space, and then a couple of classrooms and additionally bathrooms, because people need that. And whatever works, and we would make sure everything is sealed off, and we have volunteers to make sure that people stay out of there. All of our other locations have safety officers that join for the services, so that's something that we could bring it to this location as well at this outpost if the vote goes through. Anything else? Thank you.
That closes public participation. We do have a non-public, so we'll shut everything else down. I believe we still have some non-public to go over.
I make a motion to go to non-public under RSA 91A:3, paragraph 2, A and C.
Okay, so motion been made to go to non-public by Deb. Do I have a second? Second by Maureen. Roll call vote, please.
Maureen Obey?
Yes.
Joe Brown?
Yes.
Lenny Carrier?
Yes.
Lori Cass? Yes. Liz Cody?
Yes.
Tim Dow?
Yes.
Jack Finley?
Yes.
Christie Martin? Yes. Desiree McLaughlin? Yes.
At 9:4, I wish it was 5:47. At 9:47, we're at non-public. 8:47. Whatever time, 8:47.
Let's go, let's go